Well, hello everyone. This is your host, Uncle Louie, coming at you with podcast episode 9. 9, 9. Yes, it's episode 9 of the podcast, and believe it or not, I'm feeling a bit crazy. I'm feeling so crazy that I feel just like a cartoon character. Right? Yes, I feel like a cartoon character. And I am not gonna apologize for it because I love cartoons. So, if you were like me, and like almost many kids out there at the time, years ago, you watch cartoons. Cartoons were some of the greatest things of our childhood, so to speak. Even now, there are a lot of adults that watch cartoons. Why? Because cartoons are just that fantastic. They're great. Now, me personally, I will say that more of the older cartoons are better, but I will not get into that kind of debate or argument because cartoons are cartoons in the end, and whether we like them, we love them, or hate them, they will bring joy to some child in the world. Sometime, someday, somewhere. So without further ado, this is episode 9 Favorite Cartoons, Cartoon Network, Part 1. So I decided to kind of get into Cartoon Network first because there's other channels where cartoons came out, but I gotta say one of my personal favorites was Cartoon Network. Mind you, how I said it was. Not getting to that, but yes, Cartoon Network was definitely my top favorite, one of like the top favorite network. They had a lot of cool cartoons, and I spent so much time on that particular channel. For me, it was always like in cable. I believe, at least where I am in cable, it was like channel 24. Kind of ironic because my my date of birth is on the 24th. My birthday's on the 24th, so I'm like, yeah, it's destiny. Cartoon Network was made just for me. But but yeah, there were a lot of good quality shows that very creative, and it's just it drew you in. It really they drew you in. They just had a lot of character to them. Like obviously they were characters, but they had a lot of character. The qualities that make a good cartoon. Like one of my personal favorites, and like I said, will probably be the favorites of many of you out there, was this weird, creepy, but fantastic cartoon called Courage the Cowardly Dog. I know many of you remember it, considering they still, at least I believe they still play it on occasions. And if they don't play it on Cartoon Network, I think they have it on Boomerang, which is Cartoon Network's way of putting out older stuff. Even though I don't know, a lot of stuff. Cartoon Network has been doing a lot of horrible things for the past couple of years. So I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna get into that, but I will say that they need to stop messing up Cartoon Network because they're bringing down what was an empire, a beautiful empire. But anyway, so Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now I'll tell you, I can't recall the very first time I saw it, or I, at least I'm not sure if this is the first time that I saw it. I'm pretty sure it actually might be. You know what? Never mind. Big shocker. I actually remember the first time I ever saw Courage the Cowardly Dog. Ironically enough, it was the first episode with what was it? Because I know there's some debate that which episode was truly the first one, like the chicken episode, and then some sources say that it's the fox with the grainy stew. I need me a nice granny. No, but whatever it was, I know at least I'm pretty sure it was the chicken from outer space or something like that. I believe that was the true first episode. I think that was actually the pilot to see how people would react to it, whether they give it a green light to be made into like a full on series or not. But yeah, I remember when I first watched it. I'm not gonna lie, and I watched it at night. I think it was like what? I know it was past 10 for sure, because I know it was pretty late for kids to be up. But You know, I'm a rebel. I've always been a rebel. I've always been watching, watching cartoons after hours because I'm just that dedicated. Kind of goes back to my last video, motivation. Yeah, dedication, motivation. Anyway, but yeah, that first episode was great, but it scared me. I'm not gonna lie, it really did scare me because I remember after I saw it, I kept having this fear, this innate fear that a chicken from outer space was gonna abduct me. I know it sounds silly and it sounds just completely outrageous, but I that was a true fear. Now it didn't last very long. Maybe it was just that night or possibly 2 nights at the most. But the fact that at one point I believe I was so scared of a chicken from outer space abducting me. I don't know. That's the beauty about being a kid. You know, you have that imagination to go off of. It's just raw. It's pure. It's a very pure imagination. You still have, a lot of innocence, so you can still be scared. That's one of the things I don't like about, or I never liked about the concept of getting older or getting wiser in a sense, because you just lose out on, like, you become numb to almost everything around you. Nothing really surprises you anymore. Nothing scares you anymore, except for possibly dying. Like mankind's probably biggest fear, and still to this day. But I that's one of the things that's great about being a child. About being a kid, and about like having that memory with you. You get to remember that. I remember when I was scared. When being scared actually meant being scared, not just, oh, I was scared, but I was laughing afterwards. No, like when you're scared, you're terrified. I was terrified that chicken was gonna come into my room and do something weird, and I don't know. I couldn't sleep very much, and I think there was one point where I think I cried a little bit, not loud, but I kind of cried to myself silently. It's try to put the covers over my head and just say like, there's no alien chicken. There's no alien chicken out there. So that's my experience with the first episode. If it was, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it was the chicken from outer space. I believe that was the true first episode, or I should say pilot episode. But yeah, like Courage the Cowardly Dog. That show has a lot of good content. A lot of good content. I can name, like, I know one of my personal favorites, out of that whole series. Now, granted, I have favorites categorized. Like, there's no one episode that's like my favorite of all of them. I just have categories for them because that's just like me. I don't really have a number one. But at least when it comes to like the most beautiful in the sense of like music wise, because there's a couple of them. There's a couple of episodes that have music and some that have very beautiful music. Some, you know, orchestral, or I should say, kind of like orchestral compositions. Some have like the choirs singing, and some have beautiful compositions, pieces in there. And at least when it comes to that category, I do have like my top one. And this doesn't mean that the rest of them aren't good. It's just that this one to me was, I don't know, it just touched me on a more personal level. This particular piece, and it was in the episode where I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically where this gerbil went to Courage's house, and he was trying to sell him a vacuum, and he ended up sucking up Muriel and Eustace inside that vacuum, took him off back to his place, his little lair of weird product experiments, docked in, and that stupid song. Like, this is not the favorite song. This is probably one of the songs that annoys me the most, where it's like, it's Doc Gerbil's world, it's Doc Gerbil's world, it's Doc Gerbil's world. I just hate that song. It's like little knives, steaming, boiling, branding hot knives in my ears. It's just awful. It annoys me. So that's not my favorite one. It's just, I think I think it was crazy smart of the creators. I don't know if they did this willingly, but they put like the worst song ever imaginable in the series with like the most beautiful song in the whole series. And the beautiful part is, like once they, like once Courage kind of gets Muriel and Eustace, and he's kind of like riding a little water ski thing out of there, out of at least that little cave that they're in. He's already out, and the gerbil follows him, and they play that It's Doc Gerbil's World music for just a couple of seconds. Then it just comes into this. It transitions so smoothly into this beautiful choral piece where we have like, what I hear is just a bunch of mostly female singers. Probably the altos and sopranos, but in the bottom portion, like in the bottom frequencies, you can hear the tenors and the bass, and I have a good ear, so I can hear all that. It's not that obvious, but I can hear it. But it's just this beautiful piece, and it's haunting. It really is, and I think that was, at least from my professional opinion, professional personal opinion. I'm saying professional lightly, but based on my experience and my opinion, I think that's probably what the composer intended, to have it sound haunting. And it says not scary. It's a little bit eerie if you really if you play it in the middle of the night, you're gonna kind of get freaked out. And if you don't know, you don't know where you are and you're kind of scared, and you just hear that, you're gonna get a little bit scared. But it's still it doesn't take away how beautiful the piece is. Just if you get the chance, watch that episode, the Doc Gerbil or something. I don't know, but watch it and listen for that song where the gerbil is chasing Courage on a water ski, and then they get past the It's Doc Gerbil song, and they're like about to fall in a waterfall, or they're heading towards a waterfall, and then that's when the music kind of comes out, and it's just beautiful, beautiful, and kind of just to put it in there, like a good second place on this on my list of beautiful compositions from Courage is the Tower of Dr. Jalost. Yes, right. I know you all know, and that's the name of the episode. That one I know because I love that piece. But yes, the Tower of Dr. Jalost. Come on, Rad, give me a hug. See, I can do that voice. And if it doesn't sound great, well, it's perfect. You just don't hear it right. Something's wrong with your ears. But yeah, the bum 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 bum. It's just very. It's almost like a marching. It's almost like like an apocalyptic death waiting to happen, like catastrophe. Then you got a combination of the orchestra and the choir, singing, and they're just complimenting each other. I could go on forever. I could dedicate a whole 2 episodes to just talking about the music, but we're not here for that. We're here to talk about Courage in its entirety. So, talked about the music part. I hope you all listen to or go to those particular episodes to kind of see what I mean. How beautiful the Doc Gerbil's episode, that the choral sound, not the stupid little amusement park sounding one, but the one right after, the more beautiful choral one, and the Tower of Dr. Jalost. But yeah, I like I said, I recommend you listen to watch those episodes, listen to the music, or if you just want to listen to music, look it up on YouTube. Definitely, I've looked them up on YouTube and they have them there. Just look up for Courage the Cowardly Dog OST. I think it's original or official soundtrack. But yeah, they should have it. But yeah, I just like a lot of things about Courage. It's a very well developed cartoon series. They had a lot of interesting characters. I mean, you have the recurring characters, which are like Courage, Muriel, and Eustace, and then you have the non as common or frequent characters, but more frequent than the villains, or I should say, or like I said, I think they have 3 categories or classifications of characters. They have the ones that are in almost every single episode, which is typically Courage, Muriel, and Eustace. Then you have ones that appear not as often, like Eustace's mother, and on occasion that pig. and the pig that whose wife likes to make meat sculptures of people out of hamburger meat. I don't know. It looked delicious though, but just because it's food. But yeah, like some of those characters are recurring. Like they come out every once in a while. But if anything, Muriel. Oh, and that one guy. That watch where you're going, you fool. That Asian looking guy. I'll say it. I'll say it. You're all thinking it anyway. That's what y'all call them. Let's be honest here. No racism or any kind of discrimination intended. But we just know him as that annoying Asian guy. I hated that guy. Not because he was Asian, just because he was so annoying. Like his attitude was horrible. He was an a-hole, Again, trying to keep it clean, but sometimes I just can't help myself. So I'll try to keep it as clean as possible. But yes. And then you have the characters that are pretty much like just appear once, maybe twice. Typically like the villains of the episode or the gimmick behind it. Like I know one of my as far as the villains go, one of my personal favorites is the Snowman. Yeah, like I just love the music behind it too. I know I keep going back to music, but I'm a musician. I love music and I love hearing music in shows. But yes, I like his music. It's very like exotic, kind of exotic sounding. Like you're about to enter into an undiscovered frontier. I don't know. It just sounds awesome. But yeah, the Snowman. For the life of me, I can't remember the Snowman's name. But I think he just called himself Snowman. I think he had a full name, but I don't remember if he ever used it. But yeah, I believe I could actually do the voice. I'm gonna be honest. It kind of sounds like Bane. If you've seen the Dark Knight, I believe it's the Dark Knight Rises. When Bane comes out, it sounds similar to Bane, the voice, where it's kind of like nasally. But let's see if I can do it. It's like, you stupid dog. It's like, the name's mine, Snowman. I'm here to close the terror in the sky. Yeah, I'm sorry. I could do it perfectly, but if it doesn't come out perfectly, I'm sorry. But just know that I could, where he's just such an interesting character. There's just and interesting in a sense, like not because he's random, but because he has a lot of reason for the things that for his actions, I should say. He has more depth to his character. Like in the first time that he comes out in the show, it's when Courage, Eustace, and Muriel go to live in some igloo in Antarctica for whatever reason. They're always doing stupid things, but they go live in somewhere super cold, like in an igloo. And then Courage comes across a snowman. The snowman kidnaps Muriel and Eustace to try to get some part of their DNA that prevents them from melting, because all of his snowmen people have melted due to global or the warming of the planet and whatnot. This is the basic premise of it, and it's honestly sad when once you find out why he's doing it. Like he's really doing it, and you might have caught on, like when I mentioned for what reason he got the certain strands of the DNA from the humans or from Eustace and Muriel. But he lost his friends. He lost his beloved. I don't know if he was married to her, but I would imagine that'd be like his girlfriend. But he pretty much lost everybody, and he's trying to find a way to prevent them from melting. That way they can come back and they can just be with him. He's just lonely. He's lonely, and he's trying to bring them back because there's snow people. As long as you have snow, I think you can just rebuild them. But it's sad. Like there's so much depth. Like I think this is one of the few characters that or I should say this is one of the few characters seen as a villain that actually has a lot of depth to them. Just like Dr. Jalos, they put him out as the biggest villain, and he literally almost destroys everything, or like kind of conquers the place. But he's, he's kind of like, he just needs some love and some affection. He's been lonely. That's why he has Rat. That's why he has Rat. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to do that. I had to. But that's the thing with this show, with Courage the Cowardly Dog. You end up with a lot of these characters that have depth to them. Some that don't. Some of them are just villains, and that's all they'll ever be. And they'll probably appear again, just for another one. Like, I'll be honest, this is one of the villains that I don't like. I really don't. Just because, for one, it stereotypes a particular nationality, and it doesn't even stereotype them right. It stereotypes them completely wrong. And I don't know. I just don't like that. The fact that they stereotype them like that. And two, this villain is just an idiot. Honestly, like the stuff he does is smart, but even so, he's just an idiot. But it's Le Quack. Le Quack. I mean, come on. Like, in French, that just means, well, Le means the, so it's the quack. Yeah, and he's got that stupid, like, little flimsy mustache, little, like, toothpick mustache on each end. He has that dumb accent that French people don't even have. That's the thing, like, it stereotypes French people to sound like, we're gonna talk like these. I don't know. Like, I find it funny, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's very respectful. I don't know. Didn't have a problem with it when I was a kid, though. Okay, let's be honest, I still don't. I don't really care, but just for those, French people out there that might have been offended, I spoke for you, even if maybe I'm not as offended as you are, but I spoke for you. I can hear you, I'm listening, I care. I care. But yeah, like, the stereotyping thing aside, like, I just don't like Le Quack, or the Quack, I should say. In English, the Quack. But yeah, I just don't like him. He's an idiot, I mean, if you're a good villain, you don't get caught. And plus, you're working against a dog. A dog. A stupid dog. To put it in the words of Snowman. The stupid dog doesn't do nothing. He can't do anything. Except be a stupid dog. But yeah. And then you gotta, but the thing, again, going back to the whole overall view of the cartoon series, you've got all these different characters. You got a spectrum of characters. No two villains are exactly the same. They're all different. And you have some characters that they don't start off well with Courage, and maybe they might hate him, whatever, but they become good friends and whatnot. And like the beaver, the beaver in the dam episode, that beaver was a complete jerk to Courage, but towards the end he becomes his friend and they start jamming out. I also like that episode because it has jazz in it, and I love jazz. For those of you that know me and you know who you are, that know that I like jazz and they kind of like make fun of me for it a little bit. Not in a mean way, but just to have fun, poke fun at me. But jazz is wonderful. If you were to take the chance to listen to it, you would understand why. I'm just putting it out there for those certain individuals that know who they are, that just like to poke fun at me at jazz. Even though they're not mean, they're nice, but they love to poke fun at that. It's like, there's nothing wrong with jazz. Jazz is fantastic. It's great. Especially, like, if you listen to John Coltrane, just to name some of the more well-known ones. John Coltrane, one of my personal favorite trumpeters, Chet Baker. I'm getting out of it. I'm getting awake. I know you're listening. You're saying, hey, Uncle Louie, you're going off again. You're going somewhere else. But yeah, back to Courage for I think the sixth time. Yeah. But like I said, there's a spectrum of characters. There's a lot of nuances to the series too. They really managed to be able to bring the perfect amount of or the perfect combination of factors in an episode to create a specific setting and atmosphere and vibe to it, along with the music, the artwork, and the story itself and the characters. They balanced it out and created a perfect combination to kind of give us that creepy vibe that some episodes give. Some more than others, of course, but it still takes a lot of work to create that kind of atmosphere, because it just doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen with just saying, like just putting that situation. There's a lot of things you have to take into consideration, a lot of aspects of the whole cartoon making process. This is getting a little bit more deeper and technical about it, but yes, there's a there's a lot of steps to take in the cartoon making process. Especially when you want to get when you create a show that has a particular theme, and it's like, okay, we have, like, this is the theme of the show, but how are we gonna make it? Like, how are we gonna make each episode different, but while still fitting the theme? Because if they may be able to make a different episode each time. That's not the most difficult thing in the world. Give me 1 second. That's not the most difficult thing in the world, but doing that while maintaining the same themes that's consistent throughout the whole show, that's difficult. And not only that, but creating the artwork for it. What's the correct color, the shading of the color for that particular mood, like what's going on story wise, and then going to the musical aspect of it. The composer for the show, it's like, okay, what can I, like, in this scene, what's going on, what is Courage doing, or what's Muriel doing, or what's Eustace doing, depending who's the character in the scene. That's whether typically they're always in trouble, but like, what's going on? Is Courage trying to fight bravely in a gladiator against his robot counterpart, or is Courage battling the demon lady that comes, the demon lady from the lake or something like that? I forgot her actual title, but I just call her the demon woman. But yes, the demon from the lake. The demon lady from the lake. Like, is he running away from her while she's trying to chomp on Eustace to try to eat him? Like, you gotta have, like, what kind of emotion are you trying to express? All these things. And in that particular statement, what emotion are you trying to express? What are you trying to express in general? That applies to every single aspect of the process, of the cartoon making process. Whether you be the art, you be making the coloring for it, or whether you're drawing the actual scene itself to get a visual, or whether you're making the story, or whether you're making the music for it. There's just so much to the whole process, and if one thing falls out of line, then it's out. But just to kind of bring it back around, Courage the Cowardly Dog, one of my favorite cartoons out there, and I will talk about one particular cartoon too, just to kind of leave you guys off, because I know I talked a lot about the non-cartoon aspects of it. Like, I didn't really talk about the cartoon, just the episodes. I kind of went on more technical stuff. But that's why you listen to my stuff, because you don't know what to expect. Y'all love this. I know you do. And if you don't, well, you're going to learn to. But, one of my other favorite, like, I got to stop saying favorite episodes, because I like all of them. But one of the fun episodes, I should say, is the one where they go to Paris, and they're in the Louvre, or the Louvre. I'm sorry, there's a lot of ooh there. The Louvre. But I think the episode's called So in Louvre, something like that. And it's the episode where, like, the art in the museum comes to life due to this astronomical event with the planets and whatnot, the alignment of planets. And it's just hilarious, because you have the Mona Lisa saying, it kind of sounded real funny, real kind of like, "Hey, thinker." And by the way, the thinker statue comes to life and takes Eustace's clothes. And he's like, "Hey, thinker, what you thinking, thinker?" So I can't do the voice exact, because I don't have a woman's voice, but I'm the farthest thing from it, but But and then the thinker says, or when she asks him like, what does he want to order? When they go to like that cafe painting, I knew the name, but I can't bring it to mind right now. But it's one of I like that painting. But yes, he replies with, should I have the salad or should I have the tea or coffee? Like, I don't know. Let me think. I gotta think. He's just basically thinking like kind of like each character kind of fits their like what they're supposed to represent. Like what were the like what the artist intended these characters to represent. In a sense, like the thinker's always thinking, and the I don't know where they got the stuff from the Mona Lisa. I honestly think they just had fun with that character. It's like, okay, let's make her as crazy as we can. That she wants to find love and she's tired of being just in a painting alone, and she's kind of out there, a real extrovert, go getter, and she wants to like go find love. But that's just another episode out of the many that are just fantastic, each one. And the best thing about this show, just to really end it off and finish it here, is that there's an episode for everyone, like not everyone's gonna like every single episode. I know I don't like every single one of them, but even so, I don't let that take away from the fact that this is just a very good cartoon. It's fantastic. It's one of the best. That's why people still watch it now, So with that, oh man, I almost forgot again. Challenge question. So the challenge question for this one is actually pretty simple. What's your favorite cartoon from Cartoon Network, and why? So that's my challenge question. What's your favorite cartoon from Cartoon Network, and why? And this applies to like whatever years, It doesn't have to be what's current or what's just the old. Like whatever your favorite cartoon is from Cartoon Network. Comment below what it is and why you like it. And as always, this is your host, Uncle Louie, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Catch you in the next one.